and it should connect to YouTube. Yep, there it goes.
Wonder if I can see us live on YouTube.
Yeah, I have it pulled up right here on the side. Yep, there we go. Can you guys see me now? Can you see each other now? Then go ahead and go to the YouTube channel. Then youtube.com/241studios.
Yeah, I'm there. Oh, there it is. There it's live.
Yeah.
Oh. Now it's delayed, so it is. Sure. I can't really watch it.
Right, but you can hear each other at least.
I guess.
That's the most important thing at the moment.
Well, I won't be able to hear him when he talks. Well, talk, Luke.
Yeah, talk. Yeah, you're out.
Anything.
Make sure your audio is in the right place. Not that. I mean, make sure that your output's on your computer. It says that you're. There you go. I can hear you now.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, there may be some more bugs here going in, guys. Just until we figure it all out and stuff. This is the first one, right? So, if Matt joins, he'll fill in this other slot here in the bottom right. And I mean, we could put up the show notes real quick, but we could do that until he gets here. Why not? Okay. Cool. All right, guys. We're here at 2-for-1 Joe Live. Me and Daniel have been talking a lot how to make the podcast different from kind of like it stand out and kind of hone in a little bit on some of the things we talk about. And one thing we've done in the past was we would, combine news and things we thought were interesting into, as part of a podcast or its own separate podcast with movie reviews and TV reviews, all these other kind of things. And one thing I kind of started to notice is that, we really, there's a lot of content coming out right these days. Like it's constant, tons of TV, movies are catching up with the pandemic. We had a kind of a little easier time, those first couple of years because we would have a movie every, 2 months or something instead of one every week or one every month. And so we had this ability to, kind of combine news and everything else, but now it's just getting too much. And I think, for these, podcasts that we do, I think it was, better to be topic based instead of news based. But I felt like I really do enjoy talking about the news and I enjoy talking about nerdy things like that. And I thought it would be a good avenue to kind of start bringing in a new aspect to the channel live where we can have people comment in directly to us as we're talking about it. And I just think it'd be pretty fun. So first off, thank you, Luke, for being here. I really appreciate it. I would like to make this a regular thing. And every Mondays at 8 or 9 a.m. we'll figure out that as we go forward. But I've got my cup of Joe here, and I'm ready to talk about the news with you guys.
I just heard mine getting done, so I'm about to have to go get mine.
Yeah. Oh, snap. There we go. Katie brought this to me this morning at like 6:30 or 7 a.m. She just laid it next to my head as I was sleeping. And I woke up, like what is that? Yeah, of course, if you guys didn't know, 2-for-1 Studios is brought to you by Kapow Comics, located at 4047 East Kill Avenue in Sherwood, Arkansas. There they have comic books, collectibles, graphic novels, and of course, special guest appearances throughout the year. Matter of fact, I met Jason David Frank yesterday, the original Green/White Ranger. I had him sign my Green Ranger helmet, and it's probably the coolest signature I've ever gotten. It's a pretty sick looking thing. And he even signed a few of these White Dragon trading cards. Basically, it's a movie that the Bat in the Sun channel on YouTube is making. It's supposed to release sometime this fall in select theaters and VOD. And essentially, it's Power Rangers for grown-ups, right? And it's got some of the OG Power Rangers in it. Anyway, he was there yesterday, so of course Kapow's always bringing in cool people. They have another meet and greet this weekend for a couple comic book artists that are coming to Arkansas. So it's a cool place to go check them out and give them your business. And if you haven't, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/2for1studios, the best place to consume the content. Of course, we have the podcast on all podcast services, but I mean, this right here is a perfect example. The live show, which will cover news and all nerdy things like that, it's only going to be on the YouTube channel, so it's the only place you can get it. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also that notification bell. That way you're up to date on all the cool things we do. And give us a comment. I mean, I would love to interact with you guys as we're going. And of course, it's going to take time. And at least we're in good company, right, Luke? Initially.
Oh yeah.
Real quick,
man.
Luke,
I wish.
I was gonna say, plug your channel for me. Give me your handles.
Yeah, so I mean, you can find me primarily on youtube.com/Luke Irvin. Haven't been super active. I'm currently waiting on a new computer, so there's been some downtime on my channel, but should be getting back to a regular schedule in a week. But you can always check out the Agents of Mace podcast. We talk exclusively Marvel content, and we put out an episode per week.
There you go. What do you guys? You said it's exclusively Marvel content.
Yeah.
Have you guys? What was the last thing you guys covered? Spider-Man, I assume.
The last thing we covered was we did X-Men. So we do Marvel content, but we also have a Patreon. So on the Patreon, we were going back through the legacy films, and right now we're going through X-Men. So we actually did Dark Phoenix was the last thing that we did.
Oh, wow.
I believe yeah. I believe we released one of our Patreon episodes for free.
Oh, there you go.
But prior to that, yeah, we talked about No Way Home, and then we did a special edition where we reviewed our first comic book and just some general Marvel news.
Give me a little spoiler. How do you feel about Dark Phoenix?
Oh, I hate it. It's the worst. It's the worst thing ever.
Worst thing ever.
You know what? I only
it's so
watched
bad.
I only just this last year watched Dark Phoenix and Apocalypse. Is that the only three? Yeah, because it's First Class, then Apocalypse, then Dark Phoenix. Well,
no,
Days
there's Days of Future Past.
Yeah, the GOAT is the best X-Men movie we've ever had. You mean? But I actually was not I was going into them expecting just straight up garbage, and I was pleasantly surprised. There were some like nuggets, you know what I mean, amidst the shit of cool shit, or a sequence. I mean, Quicksilver, every time he does the slow down sequence, it's usually fun and badass. But I didn't hate them I think as much as some people did.
We didn't even get really anything in Dark Phoenix from Quicksilver. It was, and we dove into that a little bit. I'm curious if maybe he had scheduling conflicts with American Horror Story or something that just kind of prevented him from doing anything. But then recently in news, there was the whole article with Bryan Singer that was released, and I didn't even know any of that stuff that was going on. So that was really interesting. And
oh yeah, it was crazy town over there.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about
because
he was an abusive jerk kind of thing.
Yeah. Locking himself away and not directing and just being a creep. Also, there's
Well, that was the main thing I knew. He was a really weird sexual creep guy.
Before we move on, I real quick, my favorite thing about Dark Phoenix is probably the Magneto train sequence when he's on the train and he does some cool things. That's the best part by far.
That's yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Takeaway I had.
I like the space stuff, actually. I kind of like the space stuff.
Hey, I mean, I'm down for it. I'm down for a Cosmic X-Men. Maybe we'll get it pretty soon.
Please. We need more cosmic superhero movies.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
The Guardians can't hold it down by themselves.
One thing I really want to do, and it's just something I've been a box office nut for 15 years. I probably check Box Office Mojo every twice or 3 times a week, every weekend for literally since high school. And so I bet money I could probably win a trivia game of within a few $1 million of opening weekend grosses and just overall box office receipts and everything else. So for just movies in general. So it's one thing I really want to bring to this channel every week. Every week I want to also, I don't know what time of the episode, but dive into the box office for the previous weekend and just kind of talk about it for a little bit. Sometimes it's going to be kind of hard if we haven't all seen the movies, but I do want to get a lay of the land and just kind of talk about things in general. So I actually saw Jackass Forever and Moonfall over the weekend, so I'm kind of caught up. Jackass opened up to $23.5 million on a $10 million budget, and Moonfall opened up to $10 million on a $140 million budget. And then there was reports that Spidey come in second, but it kind of turned out that Spidey come in 3 over the weekend. Third place with 9.6 million over the weekend, which is pretty impressive for its 8th week. It's its second time it's been dethroned from number 1. It bounced back after Scream's second weekend, but I mean, it's pretty good for
I heard Moonfall was
early February.
Bad.
Ooh,
yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't the greatest. I mean, it was. I mean, there was some cool shots in it. Of course, it's a disaster movie, but I mean, and I love Patrick Wilson. Like, I would watch Patrick Wilson watch a wall, you know. And I really wish he would be in like the MCU. I know he's Orm in Aquaman, which he should have been Aquaman. Yeah, but you know, I love him. He's great. It was okay, but did you guys catch Jackass or Moonfall over the weekend?
No,
I've never seen a single Jackass.
I've seen a couple of the Jackass films. So between these two, I'd probably go Jackass. Moonfall, when the second trailer dropped, that was it for me.
Really?
I mean, they kind of took it from like, okay, this looks very interesting. What are they doing with this? To like, okay, this just looks like straight garbage.
Yeah, I mean, it's Halle Berry, Patrick Wilson. I can't think of the guy's name. He was Kit Harington's best friend in Game of Thrones. Yeah. I don't know his actual actor name, but it was.
He's done. I've seen him when I went and saw Scream. There was like 2 or 3 trailers where he was in, so he's staying busy.
Yeah, and he's a great actor. He really is good. I mean, I always really liked him in Game of Thrones, and I was happy to see that he was in a role like this because it was. I mean, it's what's crazy. It's a $140 million budget, but it's a big movie. But I kind of want to get to the root of this real quick. So, I mean, I think I think in a normal pandemic era. Well, I don't know. I mean, what do you guys think? Why is this open up number 2 this weekend? I mean, it's. Typically, I mean, look, he made Independence Day, which I think is an amazing blockbuster type of movie. It was the first movie I ever saw in theaters actually as a kid. And, he's made Day After Tomorrow. He's made 2012. He's made a few others like Stargate, X, Y, and Z. Are we just over disaster films, or did they just not look appealing from the beginning?
No. Well, I mean, 39% on Rotten Tomatoes won't help any movie. And I know, we can all trash the Rotten Tomatoes. I agree, it's not a reliable score or metric, but a lot of audience moviegoers look at Rotten Tomatoes these days before they go see a movie, and so even the fact that it's that low is going to just discourage some people from paying money to go sit in a theater for it. Right. And it does. I mean, this does feel like a movie that's going to quickly come to streaming services as well. Maybe in end of March or something, it's already on Netflix or Prime or something.
I could see it being I could see it like VOD, not Netflix or Prime. But Luke, I mean, I know Daniel's this way. Like, he definitely looks at Rotten Tomato scores before he goes sees a movie. For the most part, I know some are the exception to the rule, but do you just go see whatever like I do, no matter what the score is?
Yeah, if I'm really invested in what I see from the story perspective, I'll go see it. I don't really look at Rotten Tomatoes as much anymore. I usually default to Letterboxd just to see the people that I'm connected with there, to see what are their initial things. I was just thinking what was our last disaster movie before Moonfall? I'm thinking it was Greenland. Maybe
it was the Hurricane Heist. No, I don't know.
No. It was Greenland. And if you guys have not watched that movie.
And I didn't enjoy that movie.
Bad. Really?
Yeah.
No, wait,
it's not even really a disaster movie.
I mean,
Greenland,
I don't really know.
Greenland is a weird movie. But there's been one since then that is even worse.
I've got a list of disaster films right here.
I mentioned it. Geostorm. Oh, I'm sorry. Geostorm was way before that. Geostorm is the worst movie I think I've seen in the last 10 years.
And he's in both of those. Gerald Butler.
Oh, wow.
Well, yeah, they are. Exactly. Yeah, his shtick is bad disaster movies.
Lately,
but that would be a great drinking game movie. If you want a movie that will just make you laugh, cringe the whole time, that's that movie. And it is to me, it's up there with The Room. It's this isn't even just made in any level of technical the writing is the worst I've ever heard. It's just it's really it's an experience. So Geostorm,
Yeah,
recommended
Geostorm. It says 2017, and Greenland was 2020.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I realized that it was
I don't-
before that. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess you could maybe include Don't Look Up as a disaster movie, but not really.
I mean, it's like
a political disaster movie.
Political disaster.
I mean, disaster
movie.
movies, you need to like watch like, you know, New York
Yeah.
being like flooded by like frozen tidal waves and tornadoes in San Francisco shit. You know, it's like bare minimum.
A couple good shots in Moonfall, and there were some interesting ideas like that they were doing too with the gravity of the moon, that kind of stuff. But I you know, we'll skip number 2 real quick. I want to return to this since we're talking about Moonfall. Roland Emmerich, the director, he came out and said, you know, basically that, you know, superhero movies and Star Wars and all these other kind of things are killing the movie industry. And I'm like, it looks like Spider-Man just saved the movie industry, buddy. So I mean, like, well, I don't. And first of all, it's kind of comical that Roland Emmerich's saying this, the guy who made Independence Day and Stargate and all these other kind of things. But what's this trend lately with like directors having to come out and say something shitty about Marvel or Star Wars or DC? I just don't understand the point of this. Like, it's because their movies aren't making money.
I don't know why they have to go so negative. I mean, I get it. Like, you know, Chris Stuckman put a great video out related to this what's going on, and I mean, I like the way he put it better. It's just like, at the end of the day, they're going to look at what are people buying tickets to go see, and it's been Marvel.
It's been that way forever.
Type thing. It's been that way for quite a while now. But yeah, if you want to continue seeing other more original stories, like, people have to go support that and go to the theater. I just wish, I think they need to angle it that way and not be so negative. Like don't go bashing Marvel.
I agree.
Just because they're jealous.
Well, here's my thing. Like, make better movies. If you make better movies, more people will see them. That's just the fact of it. And like, yeah, you're right. Maybe he's like speaking to this maybe on like the on the other side of it. It's probably really hard to get movies like original ideas funded as much as it is to get like, you know, already like IP that's been already established, whether it's comics or books or whatever. Yeah. Because that is hot. I agree. It's like new Lord of the Rings series. They had that The Witcher's hot. We what was that on the Amazon Prime, that high fantasy show that was based on books.
The Expanse.
And I agree. Like, say what?
Was it The Expanse or something else?
No, well, that's another one. But it's a high fantasy, like medieval fantasy show.
Okay. I think I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name of it. Yeah. It just came out like the end of this last year, I think. My wife watched it. She thought it was okay. But I think to me, it's like, you know what? It probably is, again, harder to get funded for original ideas that aren't superhero content or what. I mean, that's just the hottest shit right now, and it sells really well. But at the same time, there's a reason Moonfall isn't getting great reviews from the critics, guy. You know what I mean? Like, and it's not that because Spider-Man was really good. Has nothing to do with Spider-Man being good. You didn't make as good of a movie as it could have been, and it's, you know what? It's not going to put as many butts in seats. Like, look at, I mean, Knives Out. Okay, I know that's a few years ago, but like Knives Out was a completely original concept, really bringing back a dead genre in some ways, or a genre that we hadn't seen in a long time, and it fucking killed. You know, both in the theater and in like VOD and streaming afterwards. And I think just like, I hear you that like, yeah, there probably is an interesting discussion around the impact of superhero genre on other genres and like other representations of like different styles. But like, at the end of the day, if you make a good movie, people are going to watch it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that trumps any other like superhero fad or like whatever. Yeah. So
you also got to look at like where we are. All the movies I want to see, we generally don't get in our movie theater. I have to wait for it to come onto like VOD or streaming, which is very unfortunate.
Yeah, and you're probably talking about more the A24 or that kind of stuff. I assume kind of like Lamb, kind of for example. Maybe Lamb was a recent example.
I mean, yeah, like Lamb did come. Like, I mean, there's we have like one theater that will get those, but movies like Come On,
the worst
Come On,
theater in town.
I don't even think we got Mass. There's just a lot of films I want to see. I've got to wait.
Yeah. Well, I kind of swinging back to the box office real quick. I do want to talk about the Batman. It's projected to make between 135 to 185 million dollars over the weekend. Its opening weekend domestically, which is a pretty good lump sum. They're saying it could earn up to $540 million domestic. I kind of want to talk about what do you think it might open up as? I have a feeling, Luke, you're also a box office aficionado here with numbers and everything.
Not necessarily. Honestly, I never look at those or pay much
really?
attention.
Really, I just think it's fascinating. I think part of it because I just get to watch the market and see, what are expectations and how good they can kind of project those kind of things. And also, I keep track of it because I want sequels and I want the universe building and I want things to get what they want. So it's a good idea of like, okay, this made 2.5 times its budget or whatever that we can potentially get more of them, right? So, and I want to say this. And since you don't really talk about box office too much, I want to talk about what's its advantages going in here and its disadvantages. I mean, do you think people will come to see the movie and versus maybe staying at home? Because, and let me just list a few here. I mean, it's a 3-hour runtime. We're still in the pandemic, and Batman hasn't had. He hasn't had a solo movie since 2012, which is a positive probably. But last time we saw him was Batman v Superman, and I mean Zack Snyder's Justice League, to be fair, but not a lot of people saw that or probably really knew about it other than the hardcore film people. Are people going to show up for the Batman?
I'm gonna show up. That's all I care about. It's like I love Batman so much. Yeah. I think I would put into this. I think what's interesting here is the same thing we got with The Dark Knight, and that's the casting choices. I think a lot of people are going to potentially ignore it because of who is casted as Batman, because all they're going to think of is Twilight. People get so focused and sucked in on like the negative where they don't look at the full range of films that actors and actresses do. And I think that's what's going to be a potential disadvantage. It's also like I think I'm more excited about Paul Dano as the Riddler.
Sure.
Because I think Paul Dano is just such a fantastic actor, but he's also a very private one as well. He doesn't go after like super crazy things. So he stays very low key. So a lot of people aren't going to think of him. And that's what's gotten me really excited. The 3-hour runtime, maybe. I mean, I'm more excited at the fact that there's a 4-hour version out there. And
there's always a 4-hour version of every movie ever made.
Yeah.
That always comes out. There's a 4-hour version of X movie out there. I'm like, there's a fucking 6-hour version of Scream 5 probably out there. Like, I'm saying like, if I combine all my thesis footage, there's a 20-hour version of Chronos. So like, everyone says that, and I get the fun of it, but it's like, no, there's actually a 2-hour and 55-minute version of the Batman, which is what you're getting. Yeah. Because that's what the director decided that you're getting. Hopefully the director decided. Yeah.
I kind of disagree though. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
I feel like Robert Pattinson is actually a hype thing for the Batman now because yes, he was in Twilight, but I feel like he's been in so many things that have like gotten such attention since then. Everything. Tenet was, an Ant movie, but The Lighthouse, Good Time, these movies that got like Oscar noms for like acting and stuff like that. Like he's kind of considered like an actor's actor, or kind of seen that way. He's taking these like interesting roles, these, like interesting character study type things. And I feel like, he similar to how even Christian Bale was before he took on the Batman role. I think, and to me, I think especially because the trailers have really, everything I've seen of him in the trailers is like great. And I want, what I mean? Whether it's his Bruce Wayne stuff or his Batman stuff, I think he's bringing a lot to the role, maybe more than we've had brought to that role, like to a Bruce Wayne Batman role in a long time, in terms of like kind of emotional complexity. And because I think even the Bale films, they weren't as emotionally complex as they usually appeared to be. And this one seems maybe a bit, because of the darker tone and getting into like much more like serial killer, you know, lots of like Zodiac homages, stuff like that. I think there's a chance that this movie like kills it with the first reactions. Like everyone, like I could see it like making way more than even everyone's expecting if it can all come together. Like just based on what I've seen from trailers and whatever, I feel like it's in the right direction, and it's in a direction we really haven't ever gone with Batman before, in a way that's still like core to his character and very faithful to his character. And so I'm like, and even just like the cinematography is just so stylistic in a way that we've like not seen as much with Batman movies, that I feel like there's a chance this could like really take off and become like a box office blowout kind of thing, in my opinion.
I hope so. I mean, you know how I feel about it if you've listened to the podcast. It looks incredible. I've watched every TV spot that I see come on, and it's typically just a remix of all the trailer footage. Sometimes you get a snippet in there, and then I'm like, God damn, it's so cool looking, but I kind of wish I didn't see it. You know? Did
y'all watch the funeral scene?
Oh yeah, like 5 times.
I only saw it recently on YouTube, like on just like as it was an ad when I was watching YouTube. I was like, I'll watch this whole thing, and it was like.
It is weird they're putting it as an ad. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My kids were watching something on YouTube the other day, and then I guess like the ad block came on, and my wife was like, "Hey, can you skip that?" And I was like, "It's the Batman funeral scene. We're gonna watch this."
It was interesting because I don't think Bruce Wayne like says a word in that whole scene.
I know, that's what I love about it. Just how quiet he is, just very observant, like keeping his ear.
Yeah.
Well, I think that will be his journey too, though. Is understanding that he needs to be he needs to have a Bruce Wayne persona, not just a Batman persona. Yeah. Which, you know, in our other iterations, they've kind of figured that out early on. At least like Christian Bale figures it out pretty quickly, and Ben Affleck, we didn't even get that. You know, where he was way into his career, right? No, I mean the best thing about Moonfall, guys, was I was at the theater and they got this sweet tin looking. You guys can't see my screen, can you? Can you see it on
that? Looks awesome.
Okay. We can see your screen, not each other's.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so this right here, it's like a sweet looking thing of the symbol, and of course his chest on this side, and it's like a red tint, like all the marketing's been. It was awesome. Well worth the $12 I spent for it.
I know we need to. We probably want to move on, but real quick, I thought it was really interesting that like Little Caesars had like the Batman promo items, and I saw people like. I just thought it was crazy seeing people like go get jobs just so they can get the swag and then quit.
What? I didn't hear that. That's wild.
Yeah,
they got like the employee swag.
They get like baseball caps that are like the Batman promoed, and like so I've seen people like
dude, those are gonna be sold on like eBay for like $50.
Yeah. I could go sling some pizzas around, you know, for a baseball hat real quick. I had to do that.
Travis, our buddy Travis did message us like literally yesterday, I think, and was like, "Oh, by the way," and sent a picture. He's like, "This is delicious." So I guess he's already tried it.
Oh, I can't wait.
There's like the Batman calzone or something. I don't know. Anyway,
I
just thought that was.
I'll be honest,
a Batman pizza party.
The shape of it does not scream like a Batman shape. Like I really had to look at it and like try to make it look like a Batman in my head, like when I was looking at it. But that's okay. I appreciate the effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the heart behind it.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, we'll move on. Tickets go on sale February 10th, which is 3 days from now. You know, I'll add one more nugget real quick. You know, the only thing I see working against the movie is that, I mean, look at, if you do watch that scene, the funeral scene, I'm like loving every nanosecond of that moment, right? That part of the movie. But I can already tell you my 6-year-old is not going to be like enthralled like I am. Like there's no Batman. I am worried about that part of it. Like I think teenagers and up will probably really dig it, but I wonder about the kids. I mean, look at Batman Returns. Like that movie had a lot of action and it had a lot of Batman in it, and kids were crying walking out of the theater watching that movie, which I think it might be a little too dramatic. But I don't know if it will have that many family kind of viewings versus like adults doing repeat viewings kind of thing.
Yeah,
I feel like that works though for Batman. Like honestly, little kids probably shouldn't read Batman comics because they're really gory and like violent. You know what I mean? Like
I'm gonna go ahead and knock you off the stream, Daniel.
I wouldn't let my 6-year-old read Batman graphic novels right now. Like, I think it's like way too hyper violent. Way too violent. He doesn't watch anything or consume anything that violent, and especially that kind of like I mean, I love Batman because he is like this dark, mentally fucked up character. But like, that's not necessarily like the role models I want for my son when he's like, 6 or 7 years old and still like at the early developments of like brain development. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's great. And like when he's 9 or 10 and maybe a little older, like perfect, but like, I don't know. To me, it just that makes sense for this kind of character. I don't think we need like dozens of tiny kids being into Batman or being in the front row of the movie theaters.
I see where you're coming from. Let's move on. So we have Dakota Johnson coming in as, I guess, a Madam... I feel like I heard about this and I just blocked it out of my brain or something. But a Madam Webb movie made by Sony and written by the guys who wrote Morbius, which we don't know how that's going to work out. Don't quote me. I think they also did Gods of Egypt, which is Gerald Butler. What an interestingly bad movie. So they're and I guess Sony saw something in them because they're being hired to write Madam Web. Again, Dakota Johnson, which is I think the only thing I can really think of is 50 Shades of Grey series fame, and it pretty much confirms she's casted. She even tweeted out or something social media that basically confirming it in a roundabout way. So a Madam Web movie, which is interesting. I never thought I would see that character get their own film. So I do wonder. Obviously, they're going to take liberties with it and kind of make it probably more action and younger, make her younger and X, Y, and Z. How do you guys feel about that? Does this make you nervous? Every time Sony does anything, I get nervous. I start sweating a little.
Yeah, I'm just intrigued by it. I guess more so on like, why are we choosing to go with Madam Web right now? And I think a lot of it's just like it's still, when you're dealing with these kind of characters and you're dealing with like Sony versus Marvel, like I'm hopeful that they're trying to come to some more agreements or working together, because I just don't want this to be some random movie that's not really going to build out more of a story. And I think that's the struggle, like you said. Like Morbius is really intriguing because what we've seen in the trailer bounces this around. Like, what universe is this really in? Like, are they just teasing us and we have to wait to see, like, okay, it's in this universe, they're building it up this way? So that's kind of where we're at with the Madam Web. Are they going to do the same thing? Are they working with Marvel to kind of build out a big story with this, or what are we getting?
I would assume that Tom Holland will make an appearance in this film, even just based on Madam Web kind of has like cross-dimensional abilities, right? Like to see into other versions of like the multiverse. And so like, honestly, who knows? We could see all 3 Spider-Man, like at least cameo, and maybe it's like reused footage or something. But I imagine one of them will actually be involved in the movie. And maybe this is like where Andrew Garfield really gets his next Spider-Man film. I don't know. I am totally worried about it, because what Sony does with their properties is tries to make them too hip. They try to like dumb them down for like the hippest like millennial, or like not millennial, under that like culture, and try to like have too many like TikTok jokes or just bullshit that they like try to throw into this film to make it relevant. You know what I mean? And usually like Venom, it just makes it like shit. So I don't trust this at all. I imagine that this will be like a pandering as fuck movie to like whatever the newest, hottest social trends are. And maybe, hey, listen, we haven't seen Morbius yet, and maybe that movie's awesome. And then maybe that completely changes my opinion about it. But I also I'm like, Sony, why don't you, that movie's not too far away. Why don't you let that come out before you just start handing these guys more of like your flagship content? Because I feel like, maybe just see if anyone likes his movies first. You know what I mean? Anyway, we'll see. I'm not optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, we were getting information that Olivia Wilde was potentially directing a Spider-Woman movie, and she also tweeted out something to kind of confirm that. I'm not sure this may be the same movie. No, Spider-Woman movie. There's precedent, I believe, in the comics where Madam Web used to be a Spider-Woman or something like that, and then she became Madam Web, I guess. So I see that kind of as the path we're going here, right? And I do believe, obviously, if you bring Madam Web in, I automatically, my first thing my brain goes to is the animated series where she brings in all the, all the other Spider-Man, right? And so it feels like there's even other, obviously there's every rumor in the world going on around right now about how they're going to do another crossover with the Spider-Man. And I think that it could be a Venom-sized crossover in terms of you have a symbiote in the Venomverse, you have a even Peter's symbiote or Spider-Man 3, and then you have the symbiote that was dropped off in No Way Home. I think we could be building up to a Null kind of situation, which is the god of symbiotes. And I can see Venom and all these Spider-Man and potentially Spider-Woman and maybe a version of Miles Morales and Gwen Stacy. And, you just never know. Like, this could be like the big Spider-Verse live action movie, right? We had a tease in that, which I thought was good enough. And like, if that's all we got, I would be totally fine in No Way Home. But I feel like they saw the money. They're thinking, how can we do this again? And Toby even recently said, like, this wasn't a closing of a chapter. Like, he didn't, like, the way he phrased it was basically saying, like, I'm open to more. Or, that's kind of the way I took it. Like, this isn't the end, so to speak. He didn't say that, but you know what I mean.
I really hope we get, like, a good, just, like, MCU Venom movie first. I really, like, it sounds cool having this, like, No Way Home but Venom movie kind of thing. But I want, like, we have not still gotten, like, the classic Peter Parker Venom storyline done well at all, ever. And, like, that to me is, like, I need to have that first before I can care about any of these symbiotes, because otherwise I'm just like, I hate Tom Hardy's Venom. I think he's just annoying. And, Maguire's Venom was in some ways much more true to like the comics and to like the origins, but just at the same time, the execution was just horrible, just bad. Right. And honestly, that even the stuff just around Venom, the stuff that isn't Venom in that movie is bad. I want a good Venom setup movie with Tom Holland ideally before I can care about any other like Venom verse shit, for me at least.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, man. I'm interested. I'm curious. Definitely curious. Let's talk about. I mean, again, we're getting our feet away here. I just want a few interesting things I saw pop up over the last week. 21 Jump Street directors, Chris and Lord Miller, I think. They maybe getting their last names wrong. But they, were the shepherds of the 21 Jump Street franchise. That they also did Lego Batman and Spider Into the Spider-Verse.
The original Lego movie too.
Yeah, they've got a good track record, and they pitched, and we knew this came out a couple years ago in terms of like rumors and X, Y, and Z, mainly because of the Sony leaks. But they were going to do a Men in Black / 21 Jump Street crossover, and the idea would have been that there'd been another big alien threat. And then Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum's characters would have to kind of like work their way up into the ranks to get like the black suit. Like they would start off as like blue suits, like a blue belt kind of thing, and they'd have to kind of work their way into get like the black suit, Men in Black, kind of, which is kind of already canon, not really correctly canon with the other movies. But I love the idea, and I'm actually okay with that. Like fuck it, let's do it. Like I'm okay with the Men in Black 21 Jump Street crossover. I think those first two movies are fantastic. And I guess my big question here with you guys is, A, does that interest you? And B, are we just doing crossovers with just anything? Because fuck it, because of money now? Like, is this a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. Like, there's even Fast and the Furious Jurassic Park rumors at one point.
No.
Like,
God, no.
Like,
fuck.
I mean, really, there was, Like, I mean, how do we feel about this?
Drive a Camaro down a T-Rex's throat to kill him. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm.
Yeah, I won't lie. I fucking love it. I love it, Daniel. God damn, I want that now.
I mean, here's the struggle with this one. This was announced a long time ago.
It was,
and so like I've basically forgotten about it. But if they truly want to do it and do it right. Like don't just do it just because fans like really spend some time and make it awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't think that.
One, yeah.
Oh, I definitely want. I don't think they'll do it. A, this got shelved a couple of years ago, and B, it was brought up in an interview because of I can't remember what movie they're promoting right now, but it was I just thought it was interesting because it kind of come back up, and what was interesting about it, they kind of dropped some of these story details, and they only do that if it's not going to be made. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't.
Yeah. Right.
They don't do that if
you also got to look like
serious.
Is Will Smith and Tommy Lee on board? Like, are they gonna?
Yeah, I mean the way it worked out, it looked like, the way it worked, at least it appeared to be, was that they wouldn't be involved. It was kind of more of a, you know, I mean, hell, the last Men in
The
Black
new
movie, they
school.
weren't in it either, and that movie was fucking atrocious. Men in Black International is
See,
so bad.
I haven't seen the most recent Men in Black. I've never seen any of the 21 Jump Street movies, so I don't really
Whoa,
have a
dude,
dog in the
you would
fight.
love 21 Jump Street. You would.
21 Jump Street is
they're actually kind of like smart comedy. Like they're like meta, like for movies, but it's really good. That's a good double feature right there. It's 21 and 22 Jump Street. Stay for the end credits of 22 Jump Street. Oh god, yeah.
Okay.
The last Men in Black, I fell asleep in it and never finished it.
Yeah, you should have, because it's awful. It's like the perfect example of like how not to do characters in a movie. Yeah, I mean, I love Men in Black 1, 2, and 3, so I'm down for whatever, and I hope they go a good way with it. Okay, guys, ObiWan Kenobi dropping in May. There was actually a Disney Plus executive, Brandon Sangiovanni, and he like basically almost confirmed it's dropping in May, and then they end up deleting his tweet right afterwards. Some people were like, "Oh, he's talking about the Obi-Wan Kenobi comic book that's dropping in May," or like whatever, to kind of like basically a prequel to the show. And I'm like, the Disney Plus executive was talking about a comic book? No, he was probably talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, which makes sense. It's May the 4th be with you, right? So, I mean, how do you guys? I mean, I feel like I already know this. I just want to talk about it because of the release date, but. What are we excited for this? Are we worried about it? Like, how are they going to do another Darth Vader Obi-Wan fight? Like, canonically, how do we feel about this?
I'm excited for it. I mean, the thing is like everyone knows it's going to release in May. Like everyone kind of like as soon as like the current lineup right now, it's already fans know. So like, I've seen various like post related to this being released in May, so like I don't really care about that. I just ready to see a teaser trailer. That's all I want.
Yes.
It also just lines up with like Moon Knight should be finishing like at the end of April-ish, mid-April, end of April, and like that's Disney Plus's MO. It's either a Star Wars and MCU series, 2 to 3 week break for like marketing cycles, and then a new one, right? I mean, we had Hawkeye. Hawkeye ended 2 weeks later. We had Boba Fett. A few weeks after Boba Fett's over, we get Moon Knight. You know what I mean? And it's just going to keep going like that, I assume. And so it makes perfect sense that we'll get Kenobi then. I mean, this series has the potential to be the best one of any of the Star Wars series yet, and it also has the potential to disappoint me the most. You know what I mean? Like if they bungle it, I'm going to be like gutted because like this to me is like what I've really wanted from like Star Wars content since forever. Like I love Mando. I love bringing new characters in. The Book of Boba Fett has been hit and miss. But, like, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ewan fucking McGregor, like, the best part about the prequel series by far, and, like, his own series, and we get to, like, do a deeper character study on him, like, this could be, like, magical. Or it could be, like, gut-punching, like, cry myself to sleep disappointing. So, you know, I'm preparing myself for both extremes, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's got Deborah Chow directing the series, which she did a few of the Mando episodes, which were pretty damn good. So I have faith in that, and they've been working on the script for a long time. I hope that means that they've really got it figured out. I mean, you have Ian McGregor back, like you just said, Daniel. I mean, and you have Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen back.
Yes, and that's that. I mean, I'm guessing we get really cool flashbacks.
Yeah,
and that sounds like really exciting to me, like you know, the fall of Anakin flashbacks. That just sounds like
yes,
can't wait for that.
Pretty excited.
Is Jon Favreau working on this in any way, or is he just only on Mando and Boba?
Still, maybe.
I don't have a good answer for that. I feel like him and Filoni are both like, you know, the Favreau Filoni verse, as we'll call it. I feel like they're kind of having their toes in everything at the moment. And this one can kind of operate a little differently because it's a prequel. Like a prequel in terms of it's not like current universe stuff like Mando and Boba Fett. So I think it might not be, but I have a feeling they're definitely, at least Filoni's definitely involved on some level. And kind of also to piggyback off that, it's been rumored or almost basically confirmed that Andor is going to get a season 2. And
I did see that,
which is promising. They feel like they have, you know, a show they really like, which initially the showrunners for The American was also the showrunner for this, but he dropped out at one point, which kind of worries me. But he's fucking phenomenal. I mean, I like Cassian Andor a lot. I'm not sure I, you know, liked him 2 seasons worth, but I'm hoping that it's really cool.
I really like Diego Luna If you've watched any of like the Mexico Narcos, he's really, really, really good in that. So I think there's again the potential. You've got a really great actor, and if you can get some good scripts, this could be really good.
I mean, it's always hard doing a character, when we know their fate, right? I mean, it's a hard thing to, like, what can we learn about them that can enrich the future of Star Wars, but also like kind of paint Rogue One maybe in a different light a little bit. But 2 seasons worth, it really feels like they might have some interesting things going on, or at least something that you've got to have something that kind of lays the seeds for future things beyond Rogue One, or something. I feel like maybe things that even happen in Mando. You just never know. I mean, you never know. Like a character that's a kid and now they're adult in Mando or something. You don't know. I want to talk about Scream 6 real quick. I just want to talk about it because it broke, but they're making Scream 6. The Scream 5 made 107.4 million worldwide, which is pretty good for a budget of 24 million. It's out on its second week, I believe, right now. And I saw it in theaters opening weekend. I'm a big Scream fan. I really enjoyed the movie. I didn't think it was the best one since the original, like a lot of people are saying, but I think it's really cool. I mean, I know, Daniel, I don't think you've seen Scream yet. Luke, have you seen Scream?
I have, yes.
Yeah, are you excited about this?
Okay. I'm. Here's where things kind of screwed up, and this one's going to be very interesting because if you look at like what the fans want, they want a certain character back.
Sure.
And there's so much buzz around that. So now it's like going into Scream 6. Are fans going to expect that this character is going to come back, or is this going to be something completely else?
Yeah.
So
it's hard to talk about that
spoilers
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. This one could really, really, really make Scream and blow it up and keep it going, or this could be like the downfall. The downfall, but who knows? I could always keep going with them. Scream 5's fine. I think it's better than some of them. I wouldn't say it's better than the first one. Like, I agree with you. Like, first one's still really solid.
I love Scream 2, actually.
Yeah.
1 and 2 are great.
I like Scream 2. That's all. Actually, I saw Scream 2 before I saw Scream.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, really? Well.
Yeah.
I mean, that worked. I mean, well, that kind of spoils Scream 1 for you, actually. But
it does kind of, yeah. Well, I mean, I saw this when I was like preteen, so like my dad rented it, so like I watched it and never saw the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I went back and rewatched all these movies before this one was coming out, and it kind of dawned on me, like, you know what, Scream may be my favorite like slasher film franchise because they're very movie meta, and I love that anyway, and they do a decent job of really kind of playing with some of those tropes, and there's also not like 30 of them yet, but it feels like we're kind of
they don't take themselves. Yeah, they don't take themselves too seriously. You know what I mean? Like most like other slasher films are like trying to pretend to be like ultra serious sometimes, and I feel like this one's like, yeah, it's slasher, but we're gonna like play with the fun elements of that and just make a fun, scary movie. And I think that works better for the genre to me.
And it's a good whodunit. I mean, that's kind of the part of. I mean, even the marketing on this one was the killer is on the poster, like that was on the tagline on the poster, which is a great marketing thing, right? And it's always fun trying to figure out who that is, and with your friends, and while you're watching it, and you're whispering in the theater, like, I think it's this guy X, Y, and Z. I'm excited for it. I mean, it feels like Blumhouse is really doing. I mean, look at Halloween, for example. Like, here's a trilogy, and I'm hoping that they kind of end it on a good note and don't just kind of constantly make more and more and more. If they do, they need to reboot it and not have some of these legacy characters in it anymore, like a true reboot sort of thing. Yeah,
Quick side note, I've never watched the series for Scream, but I may go back and check that one out.
I haven't either. I may as well. Mainly because honestly, the first season, the Ghostface mask is not in the first season. It's like a new mask, and I'm like, it's like having a, Jason Voorhees Friday the 13th series and no hockey mask. It's like, why do that? So I don't get it. But I want to check them out too. There's 2 seasons actually, and I know the Ghostface mask is in season 2. So Sony buys Bungie for $36. We're going to switch over to games for a second before we finally hit our final movie topic. Sony buys Bungie for $3.6 million. It's kind of a big deal, right? We traditionally aligned them in the past with Microsoft because of Halo. And they have definitely been a Sony partner with Bungie and some of these early Bungie access or early access to Destiny DLC and that kind of stuff for Sony. $3.6 billion. We never got to talk to it, Daniel, on the Microsoft Activision Blizzard buyout, which was $68.7 billion. It's one of the reasons I wanted to do this show, just so we could talk about stuff like this that we don't get to talk about in the podcast, obviously. And I just want to talk about it. Like, are we in the content? It feels like, every company, movies, television, everything, we're in the content wars, right? It's who can buy what company. And does this excite you? I mean, like, I don't know, Luke, honestly, I don't know if you're a gamer or not, if you follow this kind of stuff. I know me and Daniel are. So how do you guys feel about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously Microsoft buying Activision for $70 billion is like that changes the industry forever, and it's crazy. But I think honestly, a better comparison to this is probably Xbox buying ZeniMax or Bethesda, sure. Because they paid $7 billion, right, which is about double of what Sony paid, and almost exactly. And with that, they got I think 10 studios. I mean, they got the people that make Doom, Wolfenstein, Dishonored, Elder Scrolls, Fallout, of course, and upcoming Starfield. But and even their online games, like Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 76. Those are their own studios that do that kind of stuff. So and then Sony got just Bungie with at this time only one active IP, which is Destiny. And yes, it's premium. Destiny, and it kind of started games as a service, really solidified that as its own subgenre of gaming. But it definitely feels like they paid a lot of money for a lot less than what in comparison Microsoft did for Bethesda. And that also just kind of makes sense with kind of Sony's talking points they've had about this acquisition, because it's very they're talking a lot about Bungie's live service expertise and experience, and that they're I think they said there's going to be 10 Sony based live service games to come out in the next 4 years, which to me is if I'm a PlayStation gamer and I'm mostly an Xbox gamer, that scares me, because that does not sound like we're getting more God of Wars and Last of Us core single player experiences, and I'm sure we'll still get that, but it definitely feels like Sony is trying to shift much more to these games as service live games. And I don't know. I personally, I've tried to find games as a service live games to and I can't. They all just bore me in one way or another. And so as if I'm a Sony fan, this is kind of worrying to me, because it kind of feels like they're trying to, and even the verbiage around it are we're trying to make they're talking about making more of their IP into movies. You know what I mean? And trying to become this multimedia dynasty or something. But if I'm a Sony game, a Sony PlayStation fan, I'm I don't care about that, to be honest. This Uncharted movie that's come out, it looks like shit, and it doesn't look like it actually followed. It doesn't look like it's it doesn't feel like it's honoring the core of what makes Uncharted cool. It looks like a cash grab to me. And so to me, this is okay, Sony is doing some things that make me worried about what's going to happen with them over the next 10 years. If we're sitting at 2032 and, we only had a couple God of Wars and Uncharted, but then we've got every live service game under the sun, that's not ideal. And I think even on top of that, live service games depend on players coming back all the time, every day. How many live service games can honestly be supported and be profitable enough to be maintained? I mean, Destiny's got a big pull. WoW is still a thing sometimes. But how many can the PlayStation audience? Is there enough players to actively support and keep alive 10 different Destiny likes? I doubt it. And so it's almost they're planning on maybe a few of those to fail. I don't know. That's just my perception. I don't know. It feels a bit like Sony not focusing as much on the games, which is what won them the PS4 generation. So,
right. Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head there, honestly. I don't know. I mean, it's you're right. The verbiage they used was definitely we're using this acquisition as much as to gain knowledge about games as service, right? And it makes me a little nervous in terms of where they're heading. I'm not a huge fan of games as service. I mean, it's I just don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm a fan of where the industry is kind of heading in that direction. Like, and again, they paid a premium for this, where Microsoft, they got way. I feel like infinitely more bang for their buck. I mean, Starfield alone. I could be wrong. I know there's Destiny fans out there, but I have a feeling that like Starfield is going to be way bigger than Destiny ever has in terms of just critical acclaim and everything else. And I don't know that. Maybe they could flop it, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It feels like Microsoft is making some good moves, and Sony is. First of all, this isn't the last acquisition of the year from Sony. We'll probably get 2 or 3 more. Yeah. I mean, they've been kind of pretty steady as they've been going. Probably.
I think we'll see more from both. I mean, what Bethesda was last fall.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
so it's not even been that. Oh no, it was the previous year, 2020.
Yeah.
2020.
Was that 2020 fall. Yeah.
But it didn't complete until like last year. Like it went into effect, and they had that big like press conference where they had like all the Bethesda people and like talking about the future and stuff. Yeah, I imagine we'll see more. At least like again, it'll be like, oh, this like even with the Activision Blizzard, it's like we're buying this, but it won't be done until 2023, kind of thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it takes that long. But yeah, I do think it's a bit worrying, just in terms of consolidation and like. It's not worrying now. Like honestly, Xbox is like really good right now about like customer like service and like providing gamers with like gamer first services that really benefit the gamers more than honestly Microsoft. They're losing money on their consoles. They're probably still losing money at least somewhat on Game Pass potentially. But 10 years from now, when like half of all video games are owned by Microsoft and now they have a monopoly on it and like you have to go to Game Pass to even play some of these games, that's when it can start get worrying because then they can make games for cheaper and we still have to use Game Pass to obtain them. I don't know. There are like potential worrying things down the road, and it may be a decade from now before they really come to effect. But there's also not much we can do about it. So
yeah,
I guess it sucks to suck. Maybe
on a different coin there of video game news, and this is for a broader thing, but Rocksteady's Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was pushed to 2023, right? And I was pretty convinced this thing was coming out this fall. Big thing is, I mean, like, I just don't understand why game companies, they need to wait. They need to know, like, 4 months out. Like, okay, like, hey, we know we're dropping, let's say we're in February now, we know we're dropping in June, so we can announce the release date right now. Like, we have a really good feeling. Like, game companies announce stuff way too early, in my opinion. And, movies are much better at it. Like, they've pretty much, like, better or worse. I mean, it feels like a movie sometimes will release even if it's not finished, right? In games, I do believe in the adage that they should release a game when it's done, but companies have a real bad problem of like flag planting way early in advance. And I feel like, is this like a stock issue? Like, does Rocksteady, they haven't had a game come out in a long time, so they announce it like they know it's not going to be ready for 2022, and they announce it early so their stocks don't drop for whatever reason. Do they get a little bit boost for a certain period? Like, why are companies doing this?
I think that's definitely part of it, for sure, as I think it does boost their investors and stuff like that. Because they usually announce these things like in investor calls originally. I mean, it's going to be 8 years since Arkham Knight by the time this comes out. You know what I mean? And that's a long time. I mean, like that's as much time as like Rockstar took 8 years to make Red Dead Redemption 2. Okay, so I don't think this game's going to be Red Dead Redemption 2 levels of like grandeur and size and detail.
I don't either.
It's, I'm always a fan of like release the game when it's ready.
Sure.
I'd rather you delay it and make something better. But yeah, I mean, it is like, I know like there was rumors that Rocksteady was making a Superman game for a long time, and then that got completely canned. And so like, it's not like they've spent 8 years just working on this, but it is this. I mean, it is, but it's not just because like there's so many games coming out this year, and I wonder if that's part of it too. Like this fall is pretty stacked, even with just like Starfield and like your other, Call of Duties or whatever else is coming out. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and Gotham Knights is supposed to come out this year in 2022, which is a similar universe.
Oh, is that this year too?
Yeah, Gotham Knights.
Well, then yeah, it doesn't make sense to bring those games in this. Why would you have both of those games be out in the same year? That just from like a marketing and financial point doesn't seem to make sense.
Yeah, but to be fair, I mean, they're different. They're different companies. Like they are different. I mean, they're under like the Warner Brothers Games in general, but they're still different companies.
WB Montreal.
Yeah, and also the rumor is Harry Potter is supposed to drop this year too, the game for that as well. So I mean, it's getting pretty stacked.
Sure.
I get it, but also it's just kind of frustrating. I mean, like also 8 years, like that's a long ass time to make a video game, and like and even like to just kind of bash, like not bash Bethesda, but kind of point them out a little bit. Like sometimes it takes like 6-7 years for a Fallout 3 or Fallout 4 or even a Starfield, and those don't always come out like super polished. Like typically there's updates and there's like Skyrim and all these other kind of things. It takes a little time to get the game where it needs to go, and I'm like, you know what, like I don't know what if there's so much money being thrown at these games. Like granted, this is coming from somebody who doesn't know how to make a game. I feel like sometimes like man, we might need a more oiled machine. Like, and I feel like maybe Phil Spencer, Microsoft, or maybe the right kind of deal for that, because they can have someone who can give them money, and now these companies don't have to worry so much about getting funding or whatever, and they can just kind of worry about being an oiled machine and kind of pumping out these games on a regular basis. And I don't know, it's interesting, and I just want to bring it up because I'm curious about it.
Whole nother subject, you could go into like the reported culture around game companies and developers and lifestyle and just the suicide rates and all of that. Like it's pretty wild.
And crunch and all these other things. I would love to talk more about that actually. Maybe have a podcast on that topic or something, and really kind of do our research ahead of time, and then really
there's some documentaries out there, and there's a lot of articles around it that are really interesting. Just kind of I guess to like close out my thoughts on these. Like I am a gamer, I'm just not a super active gamer. Right now I'm in the stage of catch up, because I was able to get a PlayStation 5. And prior to that, I had a PS3, but didn't game very much. So I'm really just going through and catching up on things that I missed. So games like Red Dead 2, currently playing through Miles Morales.
Amazing game.
Like the
It's honestly the best place to be, though. Like getting to catch up on all these like A+ games like years later. Like you don't have to wait right for the games to come out. And they're cheap.
100%. They're cheaper. So
smart.
like I'm a big fan of like the Metal Gear games, so I can go back and play through all of those. And yep.
Actually, David Hayter, the voice of Solid Snake, liked my tweet yesterday. Fun fact for everybody.
Wow.
I know I'm getting big, boys. I mean, I'm going to play Red Dead 2 pretty soon. I made a conscious decision. So I can talk to Daniel about it mainly because he's the only person I know played Red Dead 2.
Best video game story I've ever experienced.
Yeah, it's on my list.
And now, like, I'll recommend, like, don't try to marathon it because I think that honestly, like, it detracts from the experience. Like, treat it almost like a TV show because there's like chapters. There's like 4 or 5 chapters. I think 6 chapters, and like each chapter break is a great place to like take a break or something because I think if you try to just get it done in like 2 weeks or a month, that's a shit ton of story, and it works better if you're kind of doing it at a little more gradual pace. That's just my opinion.
I'm very, very early on. Like as soon as I got the PS5 and borrowed some games, and bought a few games, like I kind of like played. Like I spent like one day trying a bunch of them out to see what I wanted to start with. So I'm like halfway through Miles Morales right now. So I'm gonna just try to finish that.
Dude, that game is a phenomenal game. And I just beat it and Spidey remastered like right when I got my PS5, literally within a week of buying the PS5. No, phenomenal. I'm so pumped for Spider-Man 2 and the Wolverine game. So give it to me, DD Mao. Let's go to our last topic, guys, which is kind of our main topic of the show, which is Ezra Miller hints at Batfleck return. And I'm going to throw up real quick this tweet that he had, and you guys can see it, I believe. Oh, gosh, my monitor does not agreeing with me right now. It's kind of frustrating, honestly. I should be able to screen share this, but it's let me see here. It's not working for me. Anyway, big thing is my monitor over here is just like it's like connected sometimes, my extra iPad, and then sometimes it just freezes for whatever reason. But big thing is Ezra Miller, who is the Flash as we know, someone tweeted out like this, Ben Affleck's last time playing Batman And in the Flash, right, we know that Ben Affleck will make an appearance in the movie, and then somehow something happens, or Flash time travels or something, and we're into the '89 Batman universe with Michael Keaton's character. And we do also know that Michael Keaton will be in Batgirl. We've had mural spotted on set showcasing that iteration of the character with a Robin. And it's kind of being presented to us as like this universe's Nick Fury, so to speak, and going to replace Batfleck. So someone tweeted out, Ben Affleck's last time as Batman, and Ezra Miller underlined one last time and then wrote ha 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 all over the image, basically implying like, oh, you think this is going to be his last time. Now, Ben Affleck has been doing press for The Tender Bar, which is a really good movie on Amazon Prime, which I really enjoyed it. It's a good feel-good movie, and overall feel-good movie. And, he's went on record saying this is his favorite time playing the character, but he's pretty much done with not live action, but like these big IP characters and these big, blockbuster movies, and he's ready to do more independent kind of stuff. Obviously, he's had a rough time with the press and being Ben Affleck and being Batfleck and his marriage and alcoholism, all this kind of stuff. Do we think he's good? Do you think he'll return? I mean, do you think he'll actually make another appearance as Batfleck? I mean, what do you guys think here? And also, is this going to get too confusing for audiences? We're going to have 3 Batmen this year. Like, I'm fine. I think most people will be fine. But what do you guys think about this?
It's hard. It's like, I don't know, man. I'm pumped. Like, I'm not really diving too deep into the Flash right now. I'm trying to keep that like as spoiler free as possible. Like when I read this, I was like, did I see the image? And then when you described it, I was like, yeah, I did see that image, but I didn't really look too deep into it. And I've seen Affleck's a few articles with him saying like, he's done with this character, this IP, and wants to move on. And that's fine. Yeah, at the end of the day, I am disappointed. I was looking forward to a solo film with him. I liked his direction, and I think he could have brought a lot to the table in terms of like really developing out a story with Bruce Wayne, and just the original concept of the Batman versus who's he gonna fight? Deathstroke.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
So, anyway, could he be back? There is a good chance. There is a very good chance that this may not be his last appearance, but I guess I'm more curious to see like, how much time do we get to see with Batfleck in the Flash film? Is this going to be like total runtime 5 minutes? Is Keaton getting more time, or is it going to be like a post-credit scene? I don't know.
I mean,
what will we get?
I don't think this might spoil the movie. It's something from the movie. It's from the comics I want to talk about. But in the thing about the cool thing about the Flashpoint comic book storyline, 5 issues. Mm-hmm. It's kind of really condensed. Actually, it's not like a huge arc. What was big about it was all the spin-off, tie-in issues, right? Well, the big thing about that was that in the beginning, it's the universe Batman, and basically Flash goes to a different universe and talks to his father, who is the Batman of that universe, Thomas Wayne Batman, which would have been equated to the movie world, Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Batman, which would have been fucking awesome. And I'm pretty sure they were going to do that at one point. But the idea was that when Flash comes back, he has a note or a letter from his father telling him he loves him and like, hey, don't be Batman anymore, basically. Like, it's not a good path to go down. And that was a really big thing for Bruce Wayne. Like, he gets a letter from his dad from an alternate universe, and it's a huge thing for Batman. So if we're bringing in Michael Keaton into, we'll call it the present day universe, I don't know how Batfleck will go out. Like, I don't know if, I wonder, like, will he be erased from the timeline? Like, what's his arc? Like, he's got to have some type of moment, right? It's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I think for me, like, the Spider-Man movie last year has proved that you can juggle 3 different versions of the same character well. And so I know it's possible that they're going to pull all this off, right? But I think it's also because we're been burnt by Zack Snyder as much as we have. There's also the possibility it just completely fails, right? And especially because like this movie is trying to basically do like a reset on the DCEU. It seems like bringing it because of this movie, we're going to have multiple Batman franchises, maybe having obviously having movies at the same time. there's been rumors of them recasting Superman and using this kind of as like a catalyst for why that happens, and etc. So I mean, I think a lot is riding on this movie in terms of like the future success of the DCEU.
Yeah.
It seems to me, and that's a lot of pressure, especially when you're coming from a lot of disappointing years. So we'll see. Yeah. I think it's possible, absolutely, but will they do it? That remains to be seen.
I mean, another extra wrinkle here is that AT&T just basically spun off Warner Media, so like they bought it for an ungodly amount of money. And then they like basically, it's kind of complicated. They basically like sold it back to the shareholders, from what I understand, but like for way less money. And so like it's going to be Warner Media Discovery now. And so like theoretically, the execs
is it combined with the Discovery Channel?
Yes, yeah, it's combined. And so the idea was that which makes you wonder: are they going to change HBO Max like the title? Are they going to have a new streaming service? Which I'm like, please don't fucking do that. It's a bad idea.
All the Batman movies are going to stream to the Discovery Channel instead of anywhere else. Yeah. So you have to get the Discovery Channel to watch Batman.
That's how they do it. And they would.
Well, I think they just moved. Didn't they move all of Burton's films to somewhere else recently? I can't remember. I thought I saw like
it's fucking stupid. It's like if I'm paying for Warner Brothers stuff, I want just these movies on this platform, because like I want a hub where I can go to, and like I shouldn't have to like there shouldn't be a 3-month timed release for like some of these animated movies. Like it should be like, no, you own the fucking movie, leave it on there forever. So I can just go to your place and watch it. I mean, like it's kind of frustrating how they do some of this stuff sometimes.
I mean, the streaming services are out of control. We're very close to like where we were with cable 10 years ago, but just with streamers. And what you'll see is like piracy is skyrocketing. That's just that's what happens when you start trying to like segment audiences and make people pay for like 3 different $10 streaming services a month just to watch like their normal shows.
Well, so, extra tidbit.
Eventually. The bubble will burst again, and whatever is like the next thing beyond streaming will like take over, and the cycle continues.
Well, the little tidbit, even Sony, or not Sony, even Bungie was looking apparently into a streaming service of some sort, which is so interesting, right? I don't know what that would look like, or what they would have put on there, but I mean
the Destiny cinematics. That's all that was on there. Just each cinematic from the game.
Oh man, I mean in the Warner Brothers thing, and kind of go back to it real quick. Since they're spinning this off, the idea would be also that the executives that were in charge of the film division will be fired and new people will be rehired. Like it's kind of like the ongoing like consensus is that, not say fired or let go, whatever, they're fired basically. And so it's like, okay, you're gonna have another regime kind of controlling the DC movies now. And so I just wonder, like, they're just getting kind of a bad stick with like all these buying and selling X, Y, and Z. But I'm again, if you think I'm worried about Sony, actually I'm probably more worried about Sony fucking up Spider-Man than I am about Warner Brothers fucking up DC, just because. DC's just been fucking up for a while. But I'm very curious to what's going to happen. Like, I do, like, real quick, over under 50%. Do you think we'll have Robert Pattinson ever meet Michael Keaton Batman?
Over.
No.
Over. You don't think
I
so?
don't think it's going to happen. No.
Yeah. You don't think Robert will meet Ben Affleck at any point? I mean, like, you got to think Crisis on Infinite Earth kind of situation.
I'll say this: if Flashpoint is a success, absolutely. If it bombs, no.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens.
I don't know. I think a lot of that's just on. I see Robert Pattinson giving a hard no. I just see it coming from him. I don't know Matt Reeves style enough if he'd be on board for that, like potentially, but. Is Robert, just from like certain things that I've seen, is he truly invested in portraying the Batman for a long time, or if he just wants to do a trilogy and get out?
Over under, will Robert Pattinson die at the end of his trilogy as Batman?
Oh,
I think
it's never been done before.
It's hard for me to choose.
Yeah, it's never been done before, and. Like, I mean, it was kind of a big question mark going into Dark Knight Rises with Christian Bale. Like, I remember sitting in the theater, my heart pumping. Like, are they going to kill him off? Are they going to kill him off? And they kind of do a fake out, right? And I could see Matt Reeves, his logic being, this is a really grounded take on Batman, and the only logical conclusion would be that Batman dies.
Yeah. I could see them
or goes to therapy.
doing that. But it's it's also like, are they pulling that from another franchise that kind of did that unexpectedly? You know.
You mean like Marvel, or I mean
no,
like
I don't know if I don't want to spoil it.
Okay, yeah, don't spoil it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean it's interesting. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Well, guys, I mean, it was great talking to you guys. Luke, real quick, tell our listeners how can they find you one more time.
Yeah, sure. Just go to youtube.com/Luke Irvin. You can find all my content there, and through that you can connect to my socials, or you can also search on any of the podcasting platforms Agents of Mace. That's Marvel's Ace Content Enthusiast, and we put out a weekly show there.
Awesome. Well, Luke, you have an open invitation, I believe. Again, we're going to try to do this 8 or 9 every Monday morning, and it'll be a similar format. And again, it'll be fancier and fancier the farther we go, and I kind of learn everything going on. And hopefully we'll, kind of get things locked down and have a pretty good show. And obviously we'll want to have rotating guests and more people on and on. But again, whenever you want to be on, you're on, man. And I think what we'll do is a little behind the scenes, everybody, because there's a huge watch party right now happening. We'll probably have like a link sent out the night before, and talking points, that kind of stuff, and to a group, and whoever wants to come on can come on, sort of thing. So again, guys, if you haven't, hit that subscribe button, that notification bell. That way you're up to date on all future episodes of not only Podcast 2 for 1, but 2 for 1 Joe Live, which is this show right here where we talk about news and other cool tidbits from the week previously, and show your love and support. And maybe one day you can be on 2 for 1 Joe Live, and leave us a comment as we're streaming, comment in the podcast, whatever you want to do, and show your love. You know what? We're not going to sign off like we normally do for the podcast, because that's a podcast thing, right? Guys, thank you so much. We'll talk later. We'll talk next week, next Monday, and we'll be here. So I'll catch you guys later. Bye.